I was listening to this podcast about macks, which are canned mackerel, is the currency in a lot of federal prisons. And I just started thinking about wool, because,
You know, when I'm thinking about federal prison, I often think to myself, I'm going to come on the podcast.
Welcome back to another episode. This is episode 154 in the series, and I have the most exciting guest today, Melissa.
Me.
From Knitting the Stash.
Wow, I'm a guest on my own podcast.
Welcome back.
How did you know it was episode 154?
You've also got some new bling in the studio. Little neon Knitting the Stash sign and stuff.
It doesn't show up as well on the camera as I had hoped. It is Knitting the Stash. You probably can't read it. It's not actually neon, though. It's putty.
Faux neon.
And LED.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things we're going to be talking about today is faux or simulacral knitting.
Oh, God. Oh, God. See, this is completely, I have no idea what's going to happen
I'm
today.
also glad to see, just hold on a second. I'm also glad to see that you have been embracing new technology here in the shop with your new sign, because we're going to be talking about some high-tech knitting that's been on the scene lately.
Oh, okay. All right. He's got a plan. I just came up here and sat down. He set up the camera. He's like, we're doing this, podcast time. So
I'm Spencer from Spencer Heavy Industries, and I'm just guest hosting today.
That's great. It's good to have you.
Do you have any intro stuff you want to do, like introducing?
We do all kinds of intros.
Let's have at it.
I'm Knitting the Stash just about everywhere, including my own studio. And I'm on YouTube, obviously, Ravelry, same name, Instagram, same name, website, same name. It's just Knitting the Stash
Knitting
everywhere.
the Stash, all one word.
Yeah.
So you get your own website where you sell small indie yarn and stuff?
Speaking of which, we have some new additions.
Is this the point where I grab the stuff?
Yeah, you can grab the stuff. Okay, so Belle Vassar got in touch with me. She is what would you call it? The miller? The miller. I don't know if that's the correct...
She runs a mill.
She runs a new mill in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
And she has some beautiful wool. These are limited edition wools.
She's also got some logo, blogo.
I love the logo. The logo is cool. So they just opened their mill in 2021, I believe. So it's a new mill, which means if you have fiber that needs to be processed, she might be able to actually get you on the docket.
Okay. Are there a lot of people with fiber who need to be processed?
You'd be surprised. Let us know in the comments how many of you process
fiber. If you got a lot of fiber laying around, you need to be processed.
Pict.
It's a new wool.
Pict mill.
And they have a smaller queue than other mills. Some mills, like Melissa, will send it off, and then like 17 years later, you get the stuff back.
Exactly. I have some wool at a mill right now, and I wish, had I known, I might have even sent it to Belle, but Belle just got in touch with me. Belle's a longtime listener, watcher of the podcast, and she sent me her yarn samples, so now the yarn is in the shop. This yarn is so well spun. It is beautiful. I love looking at different mill spun yarn and seeing what happens. I've seen a lot of mill spun yarn, and they're not all equal.
But isn't all yarn sort of the same?
No, my friend. So Pict Wool is, their mill is actually a worsted mill, 100% worsted mill. So
if you want some...
It's pretty unusual.
I'm trying to think what isn't worsted.
A semi-woolen or a semi-worsted or a woolen spun mill. So a lot of mills in this country that are left are woolen mills or semi-woolen mills or semi-worsted.
What? Just for the few noobs out there may be one or two. What the hell is that?
Good question, Spencer.
It means it's not... all the fibers are going the same way.
You got it.
When they spin it.
Right.
Whereas woolen, it's kind of all fluffed out.
Woolen, they card it, and then the wool's all kind of like, woo, and then they, a semi-prep it will be carded, but then it'll be
So worsted's a little denser.
Worsted is denser, and it's made from, so if you're a spinner, roving is much more of like a woolen spun prep.
Yeah.
And a combed top would be a worsted prep because all the fibers are moving in the same
test
direction.
at the end, you're going to be fine. Multiple choice. Just don't stress. Don't stress.
Don't stress. Pict Wool is a worsted mill, and there are very few of these in the country. I think they may actually have one of the only in the country. So to get a fully actual 100% worsted spun yarn is a pretty cool thing. So we have two different kinds in the shop. They come from small flocks in New Hampshire that Belle and Paul are working with. So the first one is, this one is a Romney, 100% Romney. And I have two colors. Actually, the newsletter went out over the weekend. If you're not a subscriber, sign up at knittingthestash.com. And Actually, we
You want me to
sold
grab another one?
the silver over there. We almost sold out of this one, I think. I think we have a couple skeins left.
Easy going.
You're holding. I don't need to hold. This is great. It's like I could be Vanna White. So this is what I've always wanted to be. I'll turn the letters.
All kinds of handwriting on the back.
Yeah, so this is, they're both different names. This one's Barrel and Company. This one's Yamelda, I think, something like that. And Romney, it is, you can see there's a lot of like luster to it. I think of these yarns as like lustrous, dense, and it's very smooth.
Don't hate me. It almost feels like a superwash, like kind of silky.
It's really smooth.
But it's not. It's
because
legit.
all those fibers are going in the
plasticized.
same direction. Yeah, it's not 100% non-superwash yarn. These are put up, this is like a worsted weight. 3-ply yarns. These have 229 yards for 6.2 ounces. So they're big skeins. And
29 for 6.
Color-wise,
If it was 228 for 5, you know. Or...
You're getting a little bit.
It's all in the test.
Color-wise. This one's called Polished Silver.
I like them because they got the organic colors.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like it's
all natural.
dyed or anything.
And then this one's, what would you say? This is like a brown, like a kind of rich brown kind of color.
Brown.
Okay, so that's the Romney.
You got some blacks and stuff.
And then we've got Jacob. We have 4 different colors of Jacob.
Is this Jacob?
Yeah, all 3, the rest of those plus this one.
Jacob.
This is called
Jacob.
the Hancock
I have a nephew
Brew.
named Jacob too, so it gets kind of...
This is called the Hancock Brew, so you gotta hold them like this. So we've got 4 different colors of Jacob. Jacob are those spotted sheep that have all the different colors in their fleece. So they actually separated out the different colors and then spun them separately. So you have like a nearly black over here, a medium gray, a light gray, and I think that's what it is. Yeah, medium. No, this is a dark gray. I'm gonna get it wrong. Dark gray, medium gray, and then the lightest is over here.
After this podcast, I'm going to go build a yarn holding stand.
Oh, good idea.
Because this is kind of dehumanizing.
Is it hard for you?
It's...
Is it like muscularly hard? You need to like work out.
I feel like less than a human.
We're gonna develop a
just
yarn
holding
workout
yarn.
so that he can hold up the yarn longer.
All right, so they go to knittingthestash.com, they buy the stuff, and we're all good.
It's good stuff.
Buy it for your friends and family.
Yes. Oh, and I wanted to mention.
Or send that fiber you have laying around over to
Pict Woolen Mill.
Pict Wool Mill in
No,
New
not
Hampshire.
Woolen Mill. Pict Wool, the worsted mill. Make sure I get that right.
New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire. So the Romney is from Mary Iselin at Earth Haven Farm in Marlborough, New Hampshire, and the Jacob is from Aaron and Rick Gervin at Gervin House Farm in Hancock, New Hampshire. So
nice.
Yeah, you can check them out.
So
I'll
it's
put
not
their
big
links.
mass-produced stuff that's all been through the mill.
It has been through the mill.
It's instead just kind of small batch.
And if you're wondering what they look like knit out,
here you go. I got it.
Oh, these are lighter, so it'll be okay.
So you did some swatching.
Yeah, swatchy. So this is the, you should hold it the right way. This is the...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
This is the Romney. So you can see like this is in like a size 6 needle. It's good stitch definition. You can see that in like the garter up top. It would be great for cables because it's 3-ply. Really, it actually feels less dense once I swatched it up.
Here, I got it.
This is the Jacob, again on a size 6 needle. Yeah, and this is a DK weight instead of a worsted weight, but I did it on the same size needle, and you can see it's pretty, it worked just fine on a size 6. So I'd say mid-range. Yeah, a little more airy. Mid-range needles on these, good texture, or good stitch definition for textured stitching. And
basically, she likes it. When it arrived, it came in the box, and she was like, "Oh, it's so good," and all this stuff.
So excited.
It looked to me like wool.
It's yarn. It's beautiful. And I'm going to make a set of lined mitts with my... I got some samples from Bella, and I'm going to make
You're going to thrum them?
No, I'm going to do lining.
Lining, okay. All right.
So excited. So
I prefer thrum mitts myself.
I'm going to do it like this, I think, with like...
Oh, with 2, okay.
I think I'll do the... Like
there you go.
One of the darker colors on the outside and one of the lighter colors on the inside.
And then color work them through the... No. So you can see it?
No, that's not how the lining works, but...
We'll
work on it. I knew you were going to surprise me with some stuff. So anyway, Pict Wool up in the shop now.
Good
the newsletter
stuff.
went out. There are also a couple sales going on in the shop for Small Business Saturday all the way through Monday. So there's yarn that's been discounted from past yarn is discounted, and my classes are on sale. If you're in the newsletter, you get a little coupon code for that. So yeah, fun stuff. It's good. It's post-Thanksgiving, like yarn-a-thon. Anyway. I do have a shawl that's been finished, so we do have a finished object for the episode, but I think Spencer is like jonesing to like
I don't know what this intro is taking forever. We've got some serious stuff we got to talk about, as I mentioned, about technology. You got technology in the shop, you know?
Okay.
And I'm a
ready.
little worried
I'm ready.
about. All right. Okay. All right. It all begins with this doll, and I can hold it up, no problem. I got it.
She has a heavy head, though.
Okay. It all begins with this doll.
Are we
all
gonna
right.
wait? Does she have her batteries on?
No. She doesn't. It's not about the back. She talks and she has a thing in her head that shoots and everything.
Yeah, she shoots her hairballs out.
But she also is wearing a sweater, a knitted sweater.
Oh, it's a gradient too.
And knitted booties and all that. But
or color work.
If you can tell that, it's just printed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simulation of knitting.
There's a lot of that in the world.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just wanted to know what you thought about it, because I thought it was a little bit of a scam, like a ripoff. You know, it's like usurping.
Wait. You thought a troll dressed in printed knitwear was a scam.
I thought there was something inauthentic.
Do we have other things we want to talk about on this episode? Like maybe I
thought there was
psychological
something about this that was inauthentic. One thing, and it was the fact this wasn't actually knitted.
We can talk about that later. But this printed knitted fabric is like a staple. You see it a lot of places.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the deal with that?
It's just they take a photo of knitting and then they use it to print on fabric.
Is there a revolt on Ravelry about this, or is there an organized resistance effort, or?
I don't think so. No, people are like,
everyone's cool with it.
I mean,
is it a promotion of the knitted world then?
Well, my favorite is like when people will post something like this and then they'll say, "Look, she has a crocheted dress." So,
but it's not. It's printed.
It's printed knit. It's not even crochet. It's printed knitting. So, But it's cool. I mean, it's interesting.
You like the stitch definition?
I've always thought photographs of knitting like this on printed on fabric are a little bit weird, because the stitches are usually like magnified. Like this looks very magnified. And
so
it's
it was
strange.
Probably a smaller gauge and everything, and they kind of blew it up.
Yeah, I would guess. But it's fine, it's like a curiosity.
Color work, color work along the bottom.
I think people. I mean, I'd love to know like why it's easier obviously to make a dress out of this fabric that's printed with knitting rather than to actually knit something. So that's obviously why it's done. But the curiosity that people have about like, or the desire for that kind of a look is pretty interesting.
It seems to.
I'm gonna get you a T-shirt. It's like
do it.
I'll be like, here's your new sweater, honey.
This was also knitted top down, right? Given the direction of the stitches.
It does.
Top down.
No.
It could be bottom up.
Mm-hmm.
Given this direction of the stitches.
Yeah.
But it seems like
the feet are weird. The feet aren't quite. Oh, that's weird. There's some weird stuff going on with the feet.
The way they're knitted or whatever.
I mean, the feet, not necessarily the knitting on the feet. The feet are just,
yeah.
Feet. So.
But you think it's sort of a. So, okay, all right. So with that, just as like a little bit of an intro to sort of get us warmed up on this.
Thank you for bringing the troll.
I'm kind of wondering about what's going on Ravelry. You might think it's 2023, but it's actually 2025. It's been a couple years.
Oh, you're giving us like a
future scenario, alternative future going down.
By the way, I just want you all to know.
Inspired by the troll doll.
I want you all to know that Tink is like circling us like a shark right now because she thinks the troll is her new baby.
Oh yeah, that's what she's doing.
She wants
figure that out.
She wants the troll.
Should I give it to her?
You could try.
I'm gonna give Tink the troll.
Let's see what happens.
Here you go, baby. Here you go.
The head is so heavy. I just don't know if it's gonna work out.
No, it's working out.
Okay.
All right, so it's 2025, and I was checking out Ravelry this morning. I was just looking through it, and dang it, if it isn't true that all the top designs are AI generated.
Oh.
It's just crazy how that happened. Like, it used to be that different designers, they were in there making designs and stuff, but now it's like the first 5 pages of Ravelry are just AI generated.
Now, do they actually say AI generated, or are they attributed to a designer or a house, a design house or fashion house? Even though they're AI.
Would that make a big difference to you?
Yeah, I think it's I think it would.
So if individuals were using KnitGPT.
Hang on, Millie's gonna come into the camera.
So if individuals, knitting individuals, designing individuals were using AI to crank out AI patterns.
That's like there's just some interesting options here.
That would be a little different in your mind than if it was like some kind of big
like if everybody knew
industry or something.
I guess my thing with AI is I prefer transparency about it, right? Like I want to know that it's AI generated rather than it being someone pretending that it's someone else's work. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, like someone had sort of gone through the process of using the AI to make the design.
Yeah. Like that's,
As
I
opposed
think
to just
AI
like
is
some
cool.
big
Like
anonymous.
it's got some really interesting potential, and I think people are using it for coding. You know, so like computer scientists and game designers,
which seems really similar to sweater patterns and knitted patterns.
And there's a lot about knitting that could be like automated in a lot of ways. But there's a lot that can't be. So it just depends.
Well, in 2025, it's funny that you mentioned that, because there's also this really new thing called the Yarn Box, which is a 3D printer. And you can put these AI-generated patterns into it.
And it'll just
produce
a
because
sweater?
of the way they're produced, not only sweaters, I mean, you could knit like, car covers, booties, contact lenses.
Okay, so something interesting about knitting is that knitting has already been automated in a lot of those ways. So if you look at like the ways that big box stores or whatever make sweaters and things, like a lot of the times it's generated on these machines. You're a machine knitter.
Knitting machines.
And they do like punch cards for weaving. It's like there's all kinds of different ways that it's already automated.
You guys are already there.
Crochet, I've heard. I've not verified this. Is the thing that you can't automate. So like if you see something crocheted in a store, this is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true.
Probably because it takes that hook kind of grabbing organically,
it's awkward.
as opposed
to
two needles just kind of.
So if you see something crocheted in a store, someone actually had to make it, as opposed to like if you see knitting in a store, it could have been automated in a machine anyway.
So this 2025 paradigm,
it's kind of like now.
It's kind of there already. That's what we got the printed dress on the doll.
Yeah.
You've got machine knitted stuff already.
Yeah.
But AI generated patterns?
That I haven't heard much about, but I'd be really curious. We have seen AI generated photographs. So like a lot of those photographs that are out on like Facebook or whatever of like the grandma sitting there with like the Spencer-sized knitted cat or elephant or whatever. That tends to be
AI I think
generated.
We're on a different part of Facebook. I haven't seen the knitted cat.
I'm going to show you after the podcast. Okay. You're going to be like, what?
So there is some AI generated imagery.
Yes.
But not necessarily the patterns. Maybe because there's no.
Yeah, I don't know about the patterns. I know there's also Spinny Buns, who's a great account to follow on Instagram, and she does all the spinning stuff. She has an adorable set of cats, by the way. She is working on AI generated
Spinny
images.
Buns. I wasn't thinking about her cats.
I know.
When you said that, I was thinking about buns. Anyway,
she's working on actually some pretty interesting AI generated art and stuff.
Huh.
Because she's also an artist. So anyway, I could show you some of her stuff. You might be like, wow, that's cool. So there's plenty of people doing the AI stuff out there. I just don't know about patterns yet. If they're AI generated.
All right.
You can generate. I have played around with like ChatGPT, and you can generate a knitting pattern. If you ask it to like give me a pattern for like a hat, it will do it.
But it might have 3 arms.
But it might
because AI hallucinates and does some stuff.
It might be like a hat for what? Like who knows? Like a hat for your hand. I don't know.
But it might be good.
It could be like the skeleton of a good base pattern.
Yeah. Which is how sort of coders apparently, from what I've read, are using.
Yeah, then you go back in and you clean it up.
Yeah, you kind of like mock up the document.
Now, if you're my students, sometimes in a literature class, you turn in an essay with quotes from Frankenstein that never existed. So, then it's like, oh.
Now that is creative writing right there.
That's creative writing. It's sure it's also bad news.
All right, so the printed pattern on the troll.
It's pretty much par for the course.
It's kind of par for the course. And it's almost like there's a little reverence for knitting, and it's also sort of like just sort of, there's a two-way, it's not like a total rip-off of knitted stuff.
No, I think knitters kind of laugh about that kind of stuff. Or think it's cool or use it. Like some knitters will actually, or companies will actually use printed knitting like that on, tote bags or t-shirts or things like that at like festivals. So
it's just like it's like an image of knitting. Yeah, whatever.
An image of knitting. Yes.
And the AI stuff. I still think, though, if you were jamming through Ravelry in 2025...
And you found, like, all the AI patterns?
Yeah, something about Ravelry is nice because it feels like a small version of a creative space with, like, people.
It'll probably get taken over just like all the other ones. Like Craigslist gets taken over, Etsy, eBay. Like, it's all the, all the big companies go in there and post their stuff.
All the spam and stuff.
Yeah. Probably will be.
I've got this shipping container group on Facebook that I run that's, like, really small. But you can join it if you want.
You need to join a shipping container group.
And no, it's actually a shipping container Barnes group. It's like a subset of the shipping container group. So
maybe we need some strange knitting subgroups.
But the thing about this group is that
I know they exist.
People keep joining. I'm like, ooh, my group's up to like 12 members, and then they just spam. They're like, they're spammers.
They're just bots.
Yeah, or they're just people trying to make bucks off stuff, whatever.
That's the bots are the ones that you gotta worry about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you had like a third one. Was that?
Do.
Oh God.
Let me find it. Oh, I got 2 more.
Okay.
All right.
He's got 2 more, people.
All right, 2 more futuristic kind of paradigms. I'm just wondering how prepared you are for the new stuff that's coming down the run.
Okay.
Okay.
If I'm not, you guys are.
So later in 2025, we're all
what
going.
is it about 2025?
We're all cruising around in our electric hovercrafts, and you know.
Are we like on the moon? And
Nitty
stuff?
Buns is president. Okay.
Nitty
Yeah.
Buns.
And-
Someone needs to claim that name, Nitty Buns, if you haven't
I
already.
thought that's what it was.
Spinny Buns.
Oh, Spinny Buns. Anyway, Nitty Buns is president. We're in our hovercrafts. We're chilling out, and I don't know if you knew this. But there's this new stuff, all right? It's called New, and New is N-I-E-U, wool, and wool is W-U-U-L.
This isn't NU wool, which you
No,
already
it's
exist.
different.
Okay.
New wool. And, you know, I gotta tell you, it's better. It's just better. It's better than wool. It's warmer. It's easier to spin. It doesn't kink. It's just really good stuff. It's better. It's called New Wool. It's like the bomb. Everyone is using this stuff. It is like, it takes less water to process it. It's not toxic. It's still fireproof.
How is it produced?
It's synthetic. But the synthetic mojo in 2025, I mean, this is like way in the future.
We already went through this in 1950.
The synthetic mojo
30.
in 2025 is so good that when they spin this stuff out, it comes out of mushroom compost. That stuff is like,
now you're really...
it's got the kink. You can get different crimp, different staple lengths. I mean, it is new wool. It's really good stuff. And I'm just wondering, you know, how you've adapted.
I think the fact that I'm writing a book about wool and textiles has gotten to him. Just a little bit. So I'm guessing...
She can't answer the question.
I'm guessing that...
It's too freaky to realize.
I would just put it under the paradigm that runs the rest of my book, which is you create a problem with wool, and then you create a technological solution for it.
But if this stuff's actually better,
no,
you don't believe. So you don't think
nothing
it's possible?
Is better than
Just
wool.
think it's possible. I think if it was better, and it came out of mushroom compost.
Well, but that's the thing. Like when we did this back in the 50s and 40s, like everyone thought the synthetic stuff was
wool.
better. And wool can be made out of synthetic wool can be made out of all kinds of different proteins, like milk protein.
Milk wool?
Soy protein.
You can eat it.
Corn protein.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's already happened, man.
It's because you haven't finished
I'm just waiting for a paradigm that is actually
Right.
2025.
Okay.
You can give me some props for that.
The bad thing about 2026 is that late in 2025, there was this huge currency drop. And
it affected wool.
It affected wool because it started being used as a currency.
Oh, now this is cool.
So it was 2026, you know, new wool came on. It kind of crashed. It ended up being bogus and stuff. And that didn't work out.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
And the AI chatbots were like all over Ravelry, and people like weren't knitting enough and stuff. So there wasn't as much knitwear around. And the main currency was knitted objects.
It's getting really complicated.
All right. So in this currency, you're the chairperson of the Federal Reserve. How did I get promoted? Well, Nitty Buns, because Nitty Buns is president.
Right. Okay.
Still. So you got named. How do you value these different knitted objects for currency? Shawls, mittens,
well, are you
sweaters.
living in a cold place where you actually need them?
No. Because the deal is...
Climate change just screwed everybody over and it's just warm everywhere now. That's why wool's currency.
It's just one of those weird things about currency. Okay. Sometimes it kicks in. I was listening to a podcast recently.
Bitcoin is wool.
I was listening to this podcast about macks, which are canned mackerel, is the currency in a lot of federal prisons. And I just started thinking about wool because you know.
When I'm thinking about federal prison, I often think to myself, I'm gonna come on the podcast.
So
that's the first place my mind. Federal prison.
It used to be cigarettes, and then it became Macs. And in 2026, when Nitty Buns is doing the thing, it's knitted
wool.
objects.
Now, is wool currency in the federal prisons at that point?
No, the federal prisons don't exist anymore.
Oh.
There was a whole de-institutionalization thing that happened in 2024.
Okay. After climate change, and then...
Yeah, all that stuff.
So we're all sitting around in our underwear because it's hot.
Yeah, it's warmer.
There's no more federal prisons.
But what currency is, what's
wool.
worth more?
Oh.
Raw fiber or knitted fiber? And is it the sweaters or the pants or the swants?
I'm a true academic, so I got to say to you, it would depend.
Oh.
It depends on if there's processing facilities available, if people have the knowledge, It depends on like who the makers are. Is it like the people who are knitting are the ones who are undervalued in society, and it's only the products that are valued?
What's
and it's
the
people
most
who control like the stables of knitters who are like producing all the stuff and
stables of
we could-
knitters?
we could.
What's the most valuable knitted object?
That's a different question. It depends. Depends on who you are.
Depends on who you are.
Where you live, what kind of thing you like, whether
It
or not it's
could be
handed
that
down from your
little-
grandmother. You know, like
Oh,
the most valuable knitted thing
Dang,
you
man.
could have could be like some little hat that your grandma made you. You know,
in the currency market,
but it
it's
could also be
$100 bills are
kiviot.
more than. Oh, it depends on the
Right?
fiber.
Yeah, because if you got muskox, man, you're
So,
rolling in
so
it.
a muskox
Yes.
mitten might beat a synthetic fiber sweater.
It always does.
Always.
You kidding
Always.
me?
Oh, well, it's a complicated
Kiviot.
scenario in 2026.
I have some kiviot in my fiber stash that I need to spin. I've been saving it.
She's got this stuff.
And I
man.
can't bring myself to spin it because I need to blend it, and then I'm like worried about spinning it because it's kiviot. Anyway, if anybody has any recommendations about what to do with like fiber or yarn that you think is too precious to use, I'd love to hear.
And if you have other futuristic scenarios or scenarios.
If you guys come up with other futuristic scenarios, we will do another episode where we present them to Spencer.
Oh,
He has
no.
to respond to them.
No problem. I got it.
Make sure
I
they
live-
involve federal prison.
I live entirely in the
Interesting.
future, and we got a lot of Macs in the basement just in case. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
It was great to have
I
you.
mean-
You're leaving now, so I can do my shawl.
I
Is
mean,
that-
thanks for coming on the podcast.
you want to do the shawl with me though?
I'll do the shawl. Let's bring it over.
Oh god, I almost knocked the mannequin over on your head.
Okay, let's bring the shawl over.
No, you can just grab it. It's right there.
All right. Shawl's pretty cool. She kind of said I could wear it or have it,
She kind of said I could wear it.
but I didn't know exactly how. But let me throw it on.
Now it's backwards.
Oh.
There you
All right,
go.
here we go. All right, what'd you knit this out of? And was it an AI generated pattern?
It was not AI generated. It was generated by Isabel Kraemer.
Oh,
And I
Isabel
don't think
Kraemer.
she's using AI yet.
She's one of the cooler people on
She's
Ravelry.
really cool. She has a new sweater out that you might like.
Okay.
This is her SSP. I think it's called a slip stitch party shawl.
It wasn't a party to knit. There was a little bit of like, oh, because you knit one, you slip one, you knit one, you slip one, and then you on the next section.
You bring your yarn back and then do the next color.
But it's not the same pattern, right? The next time around.
No, usually it's slightly off.
So the
yeah.
so the red. Here we go.
I want to hear this explanation.
Okay,
This
so
is
you
great.
start with the red. You start right here with one little stitch.
Ding ding ding.
And you're like, you know what? This is easy, back and forth. And then suddenly you're facing exponential growth.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, man, we're going to have to watch another episode of this show.
Are you the right side? You're upside down. You're
Because we're
upside
still
down.
going.
There you go.
And then everyone thinks you're knitting this red shawl.
Which
Like,
is a
oh,
cool, like, it's got a
beautiful-
great effect to it,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Red and gray, whatever.
I cut this section short, by the way.
And
By
then
like
the
a
minute that
whole
happens, you kick
separate
in with Charlie Brown, Stripedelic, kind of like a green.
Yeah, it's like a mustardy yellow.
And one of the really cool things about this is that the Isabel Kraemer version of this used these same colors.
Yeah.
But Melissa, in her copious stash, like, whoa, does she got some yarn? She actually had all these colors on hand. Like,
Yeah.
no problem. Like, oh yeah,
So
I
these
got all
are pretty.
that stuff.
These are pretty close to the original colors of the pattern.
Blues
I think.
and grays and greens.
I think
and
Isabel
stuff.
Kraemer used Brooklyn Tweed Loft, and I used the pink is Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the exact colorway, the camper. But then the rest of this is Lichen and Lace Rustic Heather Sport, which I had from Lunenburg pullover and a couple other pullovers.
I was gonna say that.
So I just used my scraps, but they're the same colors as the Brooklyn Tweed and the same way because they're both a woolen spun yarn.
And each one of these colors up
I
top
keep getting foofed by this shawl.
is a different pattern, right?
Yeah,
But it's still a
so-
slip stitch.
Yeah, so that you get 1, 2, 3, 4 different slip stitch patterns plus some stripes and some ribbing. I can't see you anymore, Spencer. There you go.
Yeah, I know.
My favorite of the slip stitches. You said this one didn't look like it. You thought this one looked a little different, but it's just because the wool.
hers look kind of in
Head was
the
a little
photos we were examining. They look kind of like round patterns, and these look kind of.
I think they're supposed to be like little. They almost look like little sheep or something. But this yarn didn't quite.
It's like
pull
looking
off
at a
that.
cloud. You know, one person sees dragon, and the other one sees lunch.
I see lunch. We're getting close to lunchtime.
Different thing.
This was my favorite slip stitch pattern. I
The
really
bumps.
like the pearl bumps.
It's like a sampler.
and It's just really cool. I love this one. Was really satisfying.
Why do you like bumps if you don't like bobbles?
They're different.
A bobble's a bigger bump.
One does not simply make a bubble. This one was not my least favorite because linen stitch. If she had labeled it linen stitch, I would have been like, oh, no.
I'm not going to do it.
But I didn't recognize it as linen stitch until I was like 2 rows in, and I was like, oh no, it's linen stitch. So I finished it. It's okay.
What else are you working on in the knit world these days?
Oh my god, everyone, including Spencer.
We all wanted sweaters for Christmas. And we got some grandkids and some
Well, the grandkids
kids.
are, I think they all have sweaters now.
Everybody wants a sweater.
So I have a sweater for Spencer
She's
and
just
for
cranking them out.
Phineas. And it's the same sweater, which is and you're both about
Phineas
the
and I
same
are about
size.
the same size.
So it's the same sweater. It's in like a almost worsted weight yarn. So those 2 sweaters will go fast. And then I'm making one for Erin that is Albina McLaughlin's
She's got 3 sweaters going.
turntable
That's all?
pattern, which is a cool ribbed kind of sweater. And then
It's good to have a sense of what's next when you're knitting.
and then Zach just sent me a photo of
Did he?
a sweater, and he's like, "Hey, Mom, could you
knit
make
me this?
I was like, "I could make it."
See, bump him up in the queue.
No, Aaron's
You know.
first, then Phineas.
Who's going to be last? Look at this.
Then
Look at this.
probably Zach,
And
and
then who?
Spencer.
All right, so next
But
July.
I just knitted Spencer a sweater,
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't
and
need
you've been
no
wearing
sweater.
it around and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
You do though, but you can have this
Yeah, no, this
to
is
hold you over.
right now. I'm getting a little neck sweat, so this is
Oh
definitely.
yeah, you do have you're a little warm
this
behind the
is
collar
a
there.
legit thing
Yeah.
for neck sweat.
The thing about this shawl it's fun, like as a sampler to knit. You know, if you just need something. I was like, I need something in the background. This is not exactly background knitting because of all the slip stitching, but it's a little bit of an awkward shape because it's this. I like asymmetrical.
It's a triangle.
But
oh,
this
it's
one's
not
more
a
of like
triangle.
a triangle.
It's not equilateral.
And it's not quite asymmetrical where you can really wrap it. So it's interesting.
Is it a 543?
I don't know. We could measure it and find
You should
out.
knit 543s because
It's
then
definitely a right angle.
if you're ever going to square up a building site, you could always take your shawl off, throw it down, and you'd have a 543 to square off your walls.
That's amazing. We should do that.
It'd be a carpenter sweater.
We should do that.
We should do a carpenter sweater.
Maybe AI can generate
The only
it for us.
problem with the 543 is that you got to be able to pull it tight.
Yeah.
So you have to do those really tight bind offs that don't stretch.
Okay.
AI generated.
We're doing an AI generated
543 sweater.
carpenter sweater.
Yeah, so you can always square up a room.
You look like you have wings or like ears or something. It's hilarious.
All right, what else we got? Are we wrapping?
I think that's it.
Thanks for coming on the cast. It's always good to have you. Next week, knitting buns. Tune in next time.
See you guys. Bye.